Hello everyone, this is Miss Jody Jarvis, your librarian, and I would like to share with you First Chapter Friday. The book I'm going to be reading the first chapter of today is called Flora and Ulysses. It is a book by Kate DiCamillo, and she is an author you may be familiar with, or you may not recognize her name, but you have come across some of her books before. Two of her famous novels are Because of Winn-Dixie and Tale of Despereaux, but she's also got early chapter books like the Mercy Watson series, and she also has, I think, Boink, let me see here, some of her early chapter books. Oh, Bink, not Boink, Bink and Golly, and we have some of those here in the library as well, too. So she has a lot of fun books that she has written. Some of her picture books are also Good Rosie and La La La, and of course, A Piglet Named Mercy is one of her picture books. But the name of this story is called Flora and Ulysses. It is also a new series on Disney Plus. You may have seen that or seen advertisements for it, but there's also a movie out now that came out at the end of February called Flora and Ulysses. But of course, we would love for you to read the book, and you should read the book before you watch the movie, okay? But it is First Chapter Friday. I'm going to read the first chapter just to give you a little taste of what this book might be about, so that you can tell me, I want to check out Flora and Ulysses. Put it on hold for me when it gets turned back in, and then you'll be able to take an AR test. It does have a few illustrations. It is not a graphic novel, but the very first page does have, looks like a comic book. But we're going to get started with First Chapter Friday, Flora and Ulysses. In the Tinkham kitchen late on a summer afternoon. Happy birthday to you, happy birthday. What's this, Donald? This is your birthday present. It's a Ulysses Super Suction Multi-Terrain 2000X. Happy birthday! It's a vacuum cleaner. It's a Ulysses 2000X. Yep, it's the crown jewel of vacuums. It features an extra long cord so that absolutely no mess, no dirt is ever out of your reach. It's indoor, outdoor. It goes everywhere. It does everything. Goody. You have to try it out. Turn it on, for heaven's sakes, Donald. Please, he begged. Oh no, whoa, the pictures are showing it sucking up the rug, sucking up hit the carpet, and then his pants. What in the world, Donald? It's multi-terrain. You should try it outside. Whoosh! And that's how it all began, with a vacuum cleaner. Really. Chapter 1, A Natural-Born Cynic. Flora Belle Buckman was in her room at her desk. She was very busy. She was doing two things at once. She was ignoring her mother, and she was also reading a comic book entitled The Illuminated Adventures of the Amazing Incandesto. Flora, her mother shouted, what are you doing up there? I'm reading, Flora shouted back. Remember the contract, her mother shouted. Do not forget the contract. At the beginning of the summer, in a moment of weakness, Flora had made the mistake of signing a contract that said she would, quote, work to turn her face away from the idiotic hijinks of comics and toward the bright light of true literature. Those were the exact words of the contract. They were her mother's words. Flora's mother was a writer. She was divorced, and she wrote romance novels. Talk about idiotic hijinks. Flora hated romance novels. In fact, she hated romance. I hate romance, said Flora out loud to herself. She liked the way words sounded. She imagined them floating above her head in a comic strip bubble. It was comforting things to have words hanging over her head, especially negative words about romance. Flora's mother had often accused Flora of being a, quote, natural-born cynic. Flora suspected that this was true. She was a natural-born cynic who lived in defiance of contracts. Yep, thought Flora, that's me. She bent her head and went back to reading about the amazing Incandesto. She was interrupted a few times later by a very loud noise. It sounded as if a jet plane had landed in the Tickmans' backyard. "What the heck?" said Flora. She got up from her desk and looked out the window and saw Mrs. Tickman running around the backyard with a shiny, oversized vacuum cleaner. It looked like she was vacuuming her yard. That can't be, thought Flora. Who vacuums their yard? Actually, it didn't look like Mrs. Tickman knew what she was doing. It was more like the vacuum cleaner was in charge, and the vacuum cleaner seemed to be out of its mind, or its engine, or something. "A few bolts shy of a load," said Flora out loud, and then she saw that Mrs. Tickman and the vacuum cleaner were headed directly for a squirrel. "Hey now," said Flora. She banged on the window. "Watch out," she shouted. "You're going to vacuum up that squirrel." She said the words, and then she had a strange moment of seeing them hang above her head like a comic strip bubble. "You're going to vacuum up the squirrel." There is just no predicting what kind of sentences you might say, thought Flora. For instance, who would have ever thought you would shout, "You're going to vacuum up that squirrel"? It didn't make any difference, though, what words she said. Flora was too far away, the vacuum cleaner was too loud, and also clearly it was bent on destruction. "This malfeasance must be stopped," said Flora in a deep and superheroic voice. "This malfeasance must be stopped," was what she assumed janitor Alfred T. Slipper always said before he transformed into the amazing Incandesto and became a towering, crime-fighting pillar of light. Unfortunately, Alfred T. Slipper wasn't present. Where was Incandesto when you needed him? Not that Flora really believed in superheroes, but still. She stood at the window and watched as the squirrel was vacuumed up. "Holy bagumbo," said Flora. That's the end of Chapter 1. Chapter 2 is 1 page long. Chapter 3 is a half a page long. And then we get into Chapter 4. I hope you let me and Miss Patty know that you want to check out Flora and Ulysses from the library. It's a great read. I hope you've enjoyed this first chapter Friday, and I look forward to doing more with you. Bye now.